18 arbitral award which binds the Philippines to UNCLOS, as well as the peaceful settlement of disputes through existing UN systems. Dispute settlement systems which are fair, transparent, and aimed not to gloss over major contradictions or problems, but to solve the root causes of our disputes. Through UNCLOS, the international community has recognized the extent of sovereignty, rights, and entitlements that we seek to protect. And on the basis of Pacta Sunt Servanda, we in turn will exercise these rights and entitlements in full accord with the norms and expectations of the international community. We do this openly and transparently, with nothing to hide. Third, ASEAN centrality. We will do our part in defending the autonomy of ASEAN member states and in ensuring that Southeast Asia remains peaceful, stable, and free from undue influence of any single hegemon, particularly those that have interests actively antagonistic to any of our member states. Now we recognize that we have divergence of views and interests, especially in the maritime sphere. Nevertheless, we hold true to the original ideals of ASEAN, that in diversity lies our strength, and through genuine autonomy, we will establish the basis of our unity. Thus, in our capacity as chair of the ADMM and the ADMM Plus, we will strive to preserve and enhance our internal cohesion and resist external attempts to speak for ASEAN. Fourth, deterrence. We will continue to work with countries that share our goal of protecting our rights and interests under UNCLOS. Ultimately, as strategic sentinel, we will stand watch over our sovereign rights and entitlements. And as guardian of freedom of the seas, we will stand watch with the international community for this part of the world. This vision is already coming to life through our ever-expanding network of allies and partners. We have conducted maritime cooperative activities with partners such as the United States, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, France, and India. And we are open to participation of other countries that share our commitment to a free and open Indo-Pacific. May I make note that none of the ASEAN countries has ever claimed that these maritime cooperative activities are destabilizing to regional peace and security. In a similar vein, we have robust ties with our neighbor and fellow archipelagic country, Indonesia, and we welcome its enhanced defense partnerships with our treaty partners, Australia, Japan, and the United States. These developments reflect a shared recognition across the Indo-Pacific that we need more convergence. Understandably, it is a challenge for countries to find common ground while attending to our own national interests. Nonetheless, this exercise has been facilitated by growing concern over certain actors' behavior against its much smaller neighbors. To this day, the People's Republic of China, and it is our assertion upon whom the 2016 arbitral award is legally binding, continues to disregard it. I would like, therefore, to reiterate that the refusal to participate in Annex 7 proceedings under UNCLOS by a party that ratified UNCLOS does not absolve that party of responsibility to comply with the judgment of the arbitral tribunal. The refusal to participate and subsequent denial of the tribunal's jurisdiction and validity of its award is contrary to international law. Instead of honoring their obligations under UNCLOS, the PRC exhorts the Philippines to, quote, return to the path of negotiations, unquote. This reflects what retired Indian Foreign Secretary Vijay Gokhale describes in his recently published book, China Wars, as a, quote, talk and take strategy, unquote. In the context of the South China Sea, the author wrote, and I quote, the diplomacy gives the impression of restraint and a commitment to a peaceful negotiation, even as the ground realities are fundamentally altered, unquote. This is consistent with a pattern of behavior that we have seen exercised against the Philippines. To name but one example, former U.S. Representative Mike Gallagher and Aaron McLean wrote in Foreign Affairs that during the Korean War, communist forces who were losing on the battlefield shifted to negotiations where they could still achieve what they could not win by force. For the PRC, therefore, in the Philippine experience, negotiations are therefore not a path to conflict resolution, but a means of gaining advantage. And we will not be deceived. For our part, the Philippines has consistently adhered to UNCLOS and its dispute settlement mechanisms. Any diminution of UNCLOS cannot be accepted under the Philippine Constitution. It is the basis of our territory and maritime rights, which we are mandated to defend, not only for us, but for subsequent generations of Filipinos. Beyond challenges in the maritime domain, sadly, we have monitored foreign activities that are inimical to our national interests. Recent espionage convictions in Britain and an elected United States official pleading guilty, acting as an illegal agent, are not isolated incidents. They are indicative of a pattern of interference that demands our consistent vigilance. Our recent raid of a Chinese national-owned Philippine Sanja Steel Corporation is just as revealing. Factory produced and sold substandard steel at artificially low prices, distorting market competition and eroding our industrial resilience. It likewise discharged contaminated materials and wastewater into a nearby river, posing serious risks to the environment and the health of surrounding communities. It's also being investigated for former linkages to online gambling and criminal networks. This case illustrates the need for like-minded countries to build mutually beneficial and reliable supply chains. In the information domain, unfortunately, we are witnessing the improper use of history, including the unfair vilification of Japan, to obscure one's own misbehavior at present. Japan certainly is a model citizen of the world. I think there is unanimity among almost all of us here. Our convergence is therefore necessary, first, as defense specialists, to resist malign activities and preserve the political, economic, and social fabric of our individual societies. In the face of these challenges, these challenges, diplomacy is extremely important. But it cannot, on its own, keep pace with the rapid changes in the world order, which certainly allows some actors to exploit. Hence, it falls upon us, defense and military practitioners, not only to safeguard our own country's sovereignties and territorial integrities, but also to protect our people from the fallout of transitions in the world. And so I close with a call for convergence, to protect human life, to protect future generations, to protect the rights of smaller and archipelagic countries. In last year's Shangri-La Dialogue, I advocated for cross-regional security cooperation because disruptions in the international system, whether in Europe or in the Middle East, have spillover effects throughout the world. Earlier this year, I echoed the same message at the Paris Defense and Strategy Forum, because recent events have made it all the more necessary. In that forum, on the sidelines, we signed our first status of visiting forces agreement with a European country, that is France. Filipinos form the backbone of the global seafaring industry, as well as many healthcare systems around the world. And regrettably, our nationals have been caught in the crossfire, particularly in the Middle East. It must therefore be said that the international order should have a special concern and obligation to protect migrant workers from the Philippines, among others, and other Asian countries, smaller countries, not only because their rights and dignity must be upheld as a fundamental obligation of humankind, but also because their very services and sacrifice underpin the global economy and quality of life of the countries they serve and on the sea lanes they ply. Ultimately, in a fragmenting world, convergence is not merely an option. It is an imperative, and the Philippines is actively embracing and acting on this imperative. Thank you, and a pleasant good morning to each and every one of you.